call in at 702-221-7283. All right, now, let's get into the show.
All right, welcome back. Pushing the limits on a Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. And, man, we got a lot to get to. I got to, first of all, say love my friends over there at Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. I took Jamie out there the other day and introduced him. I ruined his life and introduced him how to play video poker.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yep. So we went out there. Great food, great atmosphere. I know Jamie can attest to that. Great stuff.
Bomb.
Yeah, it's awesome. Please check them out, Jackson's Bar and Grill. They got great new promotions, of course, for the month of April. And I got to tell you, man, it's a great place to play and have a good time. Great people. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Speaking of great people, even though this studio is not designed for people that are 13 feet tall, we got the 7-footer himself in studio, played in the NBA for 11 years, a coach for 20 years. The guy has a tremendous amount of basketball knowledge and insight. Of course, Mo, as they call him, Paul Mokeski joining us.
Yeah, Coach Mo.
Coach Mo, what's going on? Yes.
I got to correct you, though. 12 years in the NBA, brother.
I thought it was 11.
No, I got
12 years in the NBA?
I got to take that extra year.
You got that 12-year. And wasn't that the most money you made, that last contract you had?
No, the last contract I had was with Golden State when they picked me up halfway through the year. But the one before that in Cleveland was, yeah.
You played with Mitch Richmond and Chris Mullin, correct?
And Tim Hardaway.
Run
TMC.
My God, what a team that must have been.
Let me just say this.
Gosh.
I gotta say
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, well, he was done. He was on the men's when I played there, but he has a great story. And he flip-flopped from having an alcohol problem to being a workout fiend and one of the most in-shape players in the league. When early in his career, after coming out of St. John's, he struggled because he was drinking a lot and he was heavy. So
what a shot he had. Like every single time the ball left his hands, you assumed it was going in, right?
He was a scorer. We played them in 91. We played them in the first. We beat San Antonio in the first round, and we played the Lakers in the second round. And in game one, there was a shootout between him and Magic Johnson. Magic had 42, and Mully had like 48 or something in a playoff game.
So what was Tim Hardaway like to play with?
Well, you see like Kyrie Irving, James Harden, all the crossovers they do, and pretty much traveling a lot. But Tim Hardaway was the originator, not the originator, but the sharpening of the crossover. They called him Timmy Crossover because he would embarrass people. And with that team, those guys, Mitch, Mully, and Tim were capable of scoring 40 to 50 any night. And a lot of times they would score 30 each every night. So, and it was fun to watch, especially when you go on the road and, a crowd gets all excited and then we go on a 15-0 run and quiet the crowd and just kind of laugh at them.
In some aspects, that team, similar to maybe the Golden State Warriors of today, and that you guys were one of the highest scoring teams in the league at that time. And you had so many offensive weapons. But, back in the day, I'm sure people would say just awful things and scream awful things to people like Chris Mullin, yourself, Tim Hardaway, whatever the case may be. And you guys just back in the 80s and early 90s, you guys just took it and you were the ultimate professionals. Now in today's game, I'm going to give you Russell Westbrook as an example. Some people scream out Westbrook. And for some reason, Russell Westbrook seems to think that is an excuse to throw somebody out of a game. I want to play you some audio. And this is Russell Westbrook asked about kicking, fans out of games, and specifically his last name being Westbrook. I want you to hear this, and then we'll talk about it.
When it comes to basketball, I don't mind the criticism of missing and making shots, but the moment it becomes where my name is getting shamed, it becomes a issue. I've kind of let it go in the past, just because it never really bothered me, but it really kind of hit me the other day. Honestly, I was me and my wife was at teacher parent conference for my son, and the teacher told me, she's like, Noah, he's so proud of his last name. He writes it everywhere. He writes it on everything. He tells everybody, he walks around and says, I'm Westbrook. That's his last name. And I kind of sat there in shock, and it hit me like, damn, like I can no longer allow people, for example, Westbrook to me is now shaming, like it's shaming my name. It's my legacy for my kids.
Okay, so Mo, when I hear that, I laugh and like you, and I'm like, ridiculous. In no way, shape, or form, Mo, do I think that fans should ever be allowed to threaten players or make racial comments or anything close to that is unacceptable and you need to be thrown out. But we're not talking about that now. We're talking about Russell Westbrook, and somebody call him Westbrook. By the way, he can't shoot the basketball, so I think it's appropriate, but fans have the right to say that. When you hear that as a player, you were tough as nails when you played. Like, what goes through your mind when you hear Russell Westbrook talk about that?
That's ridiculous to me. I mean, come on, man. Fanny, faux fanny. What do we, so that's that, you can't just say that something is, I don't know how we put it, offensive or putting whatever.
Derogatory.
That's ridiculous. I mean, I agree. Threats of violence, threats against your family, racial slurs, outrageous cussing, absolutely.
Yep.
Because people pay money, families pay money. There's kids in the arena, and they should be held accountable. But making a comment like Westbrook, I mean, that's just ridiculous to me. And I don't
cackle.
Yeah, and I don't know if I was a fan and I got kicked out for calling him Westbrook, I would sue the arena, the team, the security. I would sue everybody, the NBA.
It's part of the culture.
Here's what I want, Mo. Yeah. If I was a fan of the home team, not a member of the media, of course, I would make Westbrook jerseys and have everybody courtside wearing shirts.
Okay, wait, but pause.
Westbrook.
You don't think that's too much, though? I feel like that's offensive. Come on now.
You're a professional athlete making millions of dollars.
Paul, because you're a 12-year veteran, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I know you're tough, even in today's age, but I feel as though that there's one thing, being in the game, like, you suck, come on, get better, Westbrook, da-da-da. But these fans do go overboard, especially in their own personal life, like all the comments on social media. But we're not talking
about. Let me. So
it's rude. It's rude.
Yeah, but
that's for that part, though.
Yeah, well, that's life. I mean, come on. I heard 50 times worse. So there, I'm not going to say a name, but there was a player that had a drug problem with cocaine, and people are screaming at him. Hey, don't snort up the lines at the free throw line all the time, and you just kind of move on.
Now I want to know who that player was.
Who is that?
That's not coming out. You have to read my book. But I mean, there is a line. But I'm telling you, if I have kids and I paid $1,000 to go see a game and I said Westbrook and they got kicked out of the arena, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
and that's the culture of players today. And the whole culture is they're so sensitive. Someone says something on some Twitter account that you shouldn't be following anybody anyway, and you shouldn't listen to. Why are you sensitive? I mean, and have to come back to that. When I was there, if someone was saying, and go to the Boston Garden, go to the New York Garden, go to Utah, go to any place, and I heard 10 times worse stuff using my name or but now they can research on the internet and find out everything about you, your family, how much money you're worth. So there's more ammunition for them.
But do you think that's intrusive, though, having all the information about yourself on the social, like the internet? Like, that's a lot.
But that's life. I mean, you go on the internet and find out how much I made. You go on the internet and find anything out about me. I played in the NBA, but that's just part of the deal.
So, okay, let me ask you this then. When you had all these different derogatory things aimed at you, how did you cope with it?
Ignore it.
You didn't just ignore it. Come on now.
Absolutely.
It hurt your feelings?
Maybe.
Be honest. I know you're a man. I'm going to
tell you.
It's a safe space.
Here's what I learned. If anybody teases you, you got two things. You're going to punch them in the face.
You can't do that, baby.
Or you're going to ignore them. Because if you go back at them, they win. So if there's a famous heckler in Washington he was an attorney. He sat right behind the visitor's bench and heckled, never cussed, never, not derogatory stuff, but could get on you. And we told every rookie, when you go in there, he's going to get on you. Right. And if you look at him or you say something, he's going to be on you for the rest of your career.
Right.
If you ignore him, he'll move on to the next person.
But do you think that actually happens? Because when people ignore people, they just make it worse.
I don't believe that.
Well, let me just throw my 2 cents in here. If somebody teases you and that bothers you as a professional athlete, guess what? you shouldn't be a professional
It
athlete.
makes you a little soft.
Or a musician, or an actor,
Right.
or
They should know how to handle being teased for sure. I just believe that a lot of these people, fans and audience members, do too much. They do too much.
Okay, so let me be clear, and I think, Mo, you'll agree with me on this. If you're swearing or threatening somebody, talking about somebody's family, saying anything racial, which sadly some fans do, you need to, or throwing a water bottle at somebody, you should be banned for life. Okay, that's number one. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about somebody who, and by the way, there's videos of this where somebody will say Westbrook, and then Russell Westbrook will come over. What did you just say? I would have said it to him again. Isn't your last name Westbrook? Because you can't shoot. What is he going to do? What is he going to do? Throw you out? I mean, he's a crybaby.
Wait, with that though, let's use that example. With that, getting in his face and actually doing that.
I'm not even talking about getting in your face. I'm talking about just saying a few feet away when he's on the court, "Hey, Westbrook," and there's videos of this, and he comes over, Mo.
So the line is, if you paid $5,000 for your courtside seat, right, and probably $30 for your watered down drink, and you're sitting down. You're saying stuff to the refs that's not crossing the line. We already dictated that, and to the players, that's fine.
Right.
If you stand up, if you set a foot on the court, that goes across the line. You should be kicked out and banned.
Right.
I will tell you, 12 years. That a couple times I did not ignore it. Most of the time I did, and they said stuff about my family and everything.
Family's rude though. Family's messed up. That's across
but
the line.
you can't do that anymore. You could back then. But anyway, so that guy, I'm going to tell you the secret right now, that for years, actually funny stuff. There's also Leon the Barber in Detroit that's is famous for that. But anyway, so he was doing his stuff, and at a timeout, I just went to one of the refs I knew, a veteran ref. I said, "Hey, this guy, he just bugs the crap out of me. Can we get him out of here?" He goes, "Tell me he cussed." I said, "What?" He said, "Tell me he cussed." I said, "He cussed." And the guy kicked him out of the game. And as they're taking him off, when security, he's going, "I didn't cuss. I didn't say anything."
Did he cuss, Mo?
No. and the other time was, it was in Indiana, and we were warming up, and it was like my 10th year in the league or whatever. And, guys, hey, there's two drunk guys in warm-ups screaming at me, standing up by the court, screaming at me, "Mokeski, you suck. You shouldn't be in the league. You should never be in the league." And as I went by him and I stood there and I looked at him and said, "Hey, guys, go order another effing beer and pay for my salary and go sit down."
wait, for that I got
that is the best. That is the absolute best response to hecklers because it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, they're paying your salary. It's true. All right.
And at the same time, you're trained as an athlete, especially when you go on the road. You ignore noise. If you can't make a free throw when people are screaming at you, you can't play in the league. Mm-hmm. It's different than, say, a comedian on stage who people are interrupting his set, and no matter what they're saying, they're interrupting. In basketball or any sport except tennis or golf and maybe bowling, you're expected to hear stuff and ignore it and continue to play.
Right, of course. Well, I think we all could agree that Russell Westbrook, I will always call him that, by the way.
I'm not calling him in that.
He is just got to stop the nonsense of being so damn sensitive. Fans, I get it. There's a line that you should never cross. We've talked about that. You call him Russell Westbrook. It's not crossing a line and just shut up and play basketball. I hate to sound like Laura Ingraham, but I will in this. Just shut up and play basketball. But anyway, right. Paul, before we get back to the NBA, and I want to go over the playoff picture with you, of course. I want to talk about the possibility of the CBA opt-out. It appears as though Adam Silver made some comments about it this morning. We'll get to that. Let's talk first about the Final Four. Obviously, this is we got the NIT final in Las Vegas. I'm not sure everybody's talking about that, even though I expect it to be a fun game. Let's talk about the Final Four. Interesting matchups here. I think the San Diego State matchup is an interesting one. And then we have a Miami team that with Jim Larinaga, who's done a phenomenal job with this team. Some people are saying they're going to get UConn. I just don't buy it. I saw a video that came out today. I guess Jim Calhoun went to the UConn practice and gave them a pep talk, which I enjoyed watching. Let's start with the UConn game first, Paul. I think UConn's unflappable. I think the only way that they lose is if they play their worst game and Miami plays their best. What do you say?
Yeah, I think UConn, they went a stretch this year. They lost 6 games in a row, and then they've come back from that. And at this point, to me, you've seen them in person, you've seen them practice, but even on TV, it looks like they're the team with the equal talent that's playing the best at this time. They have shooters, they have guards, they have bigs that can defend. That's why they gave Gonzaga and Timmy problems, because they have bigs that can defend. The only wrinkle that I would throw in there, and I just looked at this today, Miami has been the underdog in almost all their games. And they, not only did they beat Drake, who was my underdog, because of the veteran players, they beat number 4 Indiana, they beat number 2 Texas, and they beat number 1 Houston. So that's a pedigree of, they're not beating the middle of this tournament. They're beating the top of that. So I think it's going to be a better game than people think. I do think UConn, with their depth, their experience, they win that game. And,
You're giving out your free picks again.
I know.
Wow.
I need to set up a PayPal thing or something.
Well, the interesting thing about this UConn team, Mo, is that they don't really have a true point guard. They got guys that are like 6'8" that are handling the basketball because they can. They don't really have any weaknesses. They're really good defensively. Nobody talks about their defense. Everyone talks about their offense, rightfully so. These guys get after it defensively.
Look what they did.
They held Gonzaga,
the one of the
and
best
UCLA
offenses.
in the second half. I'm sorry, Gonzaga did that to UCLA. But you look at what they did to Arkansas. Arkansas couldn't score, and this was a Sweet 16 team that must have. Unfortunately, they beat your Jayhawks. But you look at what UConn has done on the defensive end, and then you look at offensively, arguably one of the best centers in the country, if not the best center in the country, who will be an NBA player. They have several guards on this team that will be NBA players, or I should say, not true point guards, but 2s and 3s. Then they have a couple guys off the bench that I think could be pros, including their backup center, who's like 7 feet tall, who would start on probably any Division I college basketball team in the country, and he's coming off the bench, including their guard, a couple other guards coming off the bench. This team is stacked.
I'm telling you, watching that 7'2" center, the way he runs, and he's a freshman,
Yeah.
if he went in the draft this year, which I think he should wait a year, he'd be a first round.
I agree.
Probably lottery.
Unbelievable upside.
Here's we're not gamblers here in Las Vegas, so we just do this for fun. Here's one thing that concerns me about UConn that I saw the other day. I believe they have 4 or 5 players that are observing Ramadan, so they're not eating or drinking.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So they're not eating or drinking during the day.
Oh, wow.
So, and Saturday, guess what time their game is? 3 or 5, right?
So they can't eat or drink anything?
Not during the day when the sun's up.
Oh, how are they going to have the nutrients for this?
So what does that mean? They have a huge breakfast at like 4:30 a.m.?
I don't know how you do it.
That's terrible.
I mean, that's been a problem for some people before.
Are they going to have the energy, you think?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
What time is their game on Saturday? They're the second game.
Yeah,
That's
the
5
game on
o'clock.
Saturday is
So-
at 5:49.
So-
How can you play a game at that level and not eat all day?
So here's a for all the fun gamblers out there. Let's see, they're playing in Houston, so let's see what time the sun goes down in Houston. Because
wow.
at that point, if it's halftime or whatever, they can eat power bars and drink at that time. I'm serious.
But then that may be too late at that point.
No,
their stomach.
no. I mean, you get hydrated and stuff at halftime. You come out and have a great second half.
Handicapping a basketball game and trying to figure out when the sun goes down. Only in Vegas would you hear that.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's interesting. All right, let's look at the other game. I think we both agree that UConn I agree with you. It'll be a competitive game. I think UConn pulls it out. Let's look at this other game. A San Diego State team. I had them as the only Mountain West Conference team to win 1 or 2 games. I thought, they have a chance to make a Sweet 16. Why? Because when he's playing well, which he hasn't, which is what makes San Diego State so scary. I'm talking about Bradley. He has not been playing well, and they're still winning. But when Bradley's playing at a high level, he's an NBA player. And then you have a bunch of guys that are long, they are tall, they are athletic, and you're getting scoring from guys that didn't score much throughout the season for San Diego State. Dutch is a very good coach. They are arguably the best defensive team, one of the best defensive teams in the country all year. And what they have done in this tournament, I am so impressed. And they're playing a pretty good Florida Atlantic team. I am a little worried about this game. I'm a little worried about this game, Mo. I am leaning towards Florida Atlantic in this game. I haven't made my decision yet. I'm not giving out my picks yet, but this is a game that I'm going back and forth on, Mo. How do you see this one going?
Well, San Diego State, like everybody knows, plays defense, and that helps. It used to be defense wins championships. Now offense and defense wins championships. When the Golden State Warriors were great, they were number 1 in offense and top 5 in defense. But, so they play defense. They do struggle to score, like you pointed out, Florida Atlantic has nothing to lose. They beat some great teams already. My thought process is with them, they need to fight mentally, not to be happy just to be there. In the final, hey, we made it. We're here.
Right.
If they can fight past that, but the thing about San Diego State, and I brought this up before, you look at their players, they have almost 6 guys averaging about double figures. That's unusual for college. And they're senior, junior, senior, and another senior off the bench. So they're men. They're 21, 22 years old. And that, in my opinion, that has something to do with having success combined with talent, really good coach, and defense.
So to me, Mo, here's the X factor. They've been able to get away with Bradley not scoring. I think he had 2 points in the Elite Eight game. He had 6 points, and not anymore. Against Florida Atlantic, a team that can score and score at a very high level, I believe if Bradley scores under 10 points, they're not going to win this game. They have to have Bradley's offense in this game.
Oh, for sure. If they're going to have Davidson, he has to have him in.
I'll take Bradley over 20.
Really?
Yep.
You think he has a monster game?
Yes.
I think
that's what happened. Like you talked about some of the guys I played with, like Moy and them. Whenever they had a bad game or a bad couple games, you better watch out. And the opponents knew it. That next game, they're looking to prove something and get more focused, and that's what I
thought
see.
Bradley was hurt. I haven't read anything that says he's hurt, or maybe he was sick. I've watched this kid Bradley play throughout his career. I've never seen him so hesitant to score that I have in the last few weeks. I feel like there's something wrong with him. Now, he's had a week to if that's true, to get better. Yeah. Listen, Florida Atlantic has NBA talent. We know that. They have several guys I think that can make it to the next level. But I believe the best player on the floor when playing at their best is Bradley. Why? Because he can score from the outside. He can shoot the three. He's like a linebacker. I've seen the way he scores in the paint. He's a multi-talented type player on both ends of the floor. So to me, that's the X factor. I'm not going against my UConn Huskies. I know I said that I wasn't going to make any picks today, but it's obvious. I've been saying this for the last few weeks. I said it before the Sweet 16. I think UConn is the best team. I think they're going to win the national championship. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but I'm going to be pulling for San Diego State.
You know what? If UConn gets into the next round and Florida Atlantic does, Florida Atlantic has a sophomore center that's 7'1", Golden, that can play similar to the UConn big, and that would be a great matchup. I would love to see two young bigs that can actually run and play. Get some action in the championship game would be awesome.
Very disappointed in Drew Timmy's performance against the UConn Huskies. It was much anticipated that would be better.
You know who's more disappointed? His agent.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Because what it did is it showed how big physical guys can bother him.
And we knew that, right? We knew that. Yeah. You've been a scout for years. You know what it takes. I still think Drew Timmy's going to make a team, but I don't think he's ever going to be a starter in the NBA. I think maybe he gets a contract. We'll have to wait and see. If he does, it's because of his work ethic, and he's a good kid.
He'll get a two-way.
Yeah, something like that.
He'll get a two-way contract, half NBA, half G League.
I could definitely see that happening. All right, let's switch over now back to the NBA. Any thoughts, by the way, before we talk NBA about the NIT game tonight? Are you a big North Texas fan, Mark?
Well, I was in Dallas for 5 years,
and
love Dallas. And Denton was. I went to their practices. I used to know their coach. Mm-hmm. It's a really under-acknowledged place because it's right outside of Dallas, in between Dallas and Fort Worth, and they got a great 10,000-seat arena, nice campus. So, beating Wisconsin has to give them, confidence. Wisconsin is another level team. So, but people forget how good some of the NIT Final Four is exciting, and you went to it.
Any of those 4 teams could have been in the NCAA tournament. You can make the argument. I'll even go to Wisconsin. They're a better team than Nevada. Any of these 4 teams. This is a really fun matchup because these are 2 teams that not only I believe could have been in the NCAA tournament, but could have won games in the NCAA tournament. Mm-hmm. They're in the same conference. They beat each other up during the regular season. I was sitting next to some of the North Texas assistant coaches the other day, and they told me about how good UAB is. And they told me that, we beat them, they said, twice during the regular season, and then they beat North Texas in the tournament, in the conference tournament. So these are 2 teams that know each other very well. I think it's going to be a very tight basketball game. I think it's going to be a well-played game, and this is the last college basketball game of the year. If you take away the Final Four, this is it. Yeah. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, you'll see this is the new way of college basketball. This is it. It's called the transfer portal.
Yeah.
And there's going to be 2,000 players in the transfer portal, and that's how college teams get better, and they turn it around in 1 year if they want to, and that's how teams like Texas, Florida, Atlantic can get in the Final Four. It's transfer portal, and that's the way of the basketball, and NIL is the way of the basketball, and that's what's going to keep top level teams, because they can pay. I mean, I saw a number. I watched the McDonald's All-American game with LeBron's son Bronny in there. He already has an NIL if he goes to college next year for $7 million next year.
Oh my God!
It's already in,
and
that's all around the board. So transfer portal, NIL is the way NCAA is going now.
That's unbelievable. If you're just joining us, I said 11-year, my mistake. 12-year NBA veteran Paul Mokeski joining us, 20-year coaching career. We were just talking about of course, the Final Four. Let's go back to the NBA now, and I want to, before we get to the playoff picture, and I actually watched some NBA games yesterday, which is rare for me. I don't watch too much NBA regular season. I watched the end of the Phoenix Suns game. They're a good basketball team. We'll get to that, but let's talk a little bit about this CBA situation. And when I mean CBA, I'm not talking about the league that you coached in. I'm talking about the collective bargaining agreement. It appears as though Adam Silver, the NBA, is going to opt out of this agreement. What are your thoughts on this? This is breaking news, took place a few hours ago.
Yeah, that's it's surprising to me, because when I woke up this morning, the headline was Adam Silver says we're making progress towards extending the CBA agreement. And for those out there, it's a collective bargaining agreement between the owners of the NBA and the Players Association. Very, very important. It's one of the strongest in professional sports. It's stronger than hockey. It's stronger than football. It's stronger than baseball. Part of it is because they're 50-50. They split 50-50 profits, and that means everybody. When you win, everybody wins, and that's important. There's been some problems coming up that I brought up a couple weeks ago, that players not playing, opting out of games for load management or whatever. And if you're an owner and you're paying somebody $40 million for 82 games and they only play 60, I would have a problem with that. And they're already putting an agreement in where if you don't play X amount of games, you can't qualify for the All-Star game, you can't qualify for MVP. That's one step. The next step I see is you get paid. So if I'm paying you $40 million, that's divided by 82. That's how many games are in a season. Yeah. I don't know what that comes out to. Probably, I don't know, $1 million, whatever. And the number of games you play that's how much you're going to make that year. And I can see the players not going along with that. They're trying to take care of themselves. But we said this. You had the conversation with the WNBA. The NBA travels in private jets, has trainers, masseuses, food people, cooks. They stay at Four Seasons. Everything they can have, and you're paid to play 82 games. You should, unless you're really hurt. And I can see that kind of conflict coming. But I don't know if Adam Silver is posturing for the talks coming up and saying, we're going to play a little hardball here. But I don't know why he would flip-flop on that within hours.
Well, Mo, I think you'll agree with me, and we've talked about this before. Nothing is worse to me than if a family of four saves up money for a few months to try to go to an NBA game, which is very expensive these days, and they finally get there and they want to watch, I don't know, a star player. Could be on the San Antonio Spurs, could be a Kawhi Leonard, could be anybody. And they save up this money and they go to this game and they spend $500, $600, $700, whatever it may be, only to find out that the star player that you wanted to see play and you wanted your children to watch play is sitting out not because they're hurt, but because they're just resting, getting ready for the playoffs, or whatever the reason is. I think it's a disgrace and it's an embarrassment. Now, if you want to have less games throughout the year so that doesn't happen, then let's discuss that. Fine. Let's go ahead and do that. But less games also means less money for you. Let's also explain that. It is your duty and your responsibility to play unless you are truly physically hurt or ill. And too many professional athletes, particularly in the NBA, are not playing, not because they're ill or they're hurt. It's because they just want to rest and get ready for the playoffs. Something needs to be done about this, and it needs to stop, Mo. It does.
Yeah, I think, we talked about this, back in the day, 107 years ago when I played. If Michael Jordan is coming out west to play, he's in Chicago, so he only comes out west once, and you want to bring your kids to see Michael Jordan play, and you're going to spend $500, $600, $700, $800, and he decides not to play, not because of an injury or something like that, just because that's a problem. Here's the other problem inherent to that NBA owners, ticket sales and all that means minimal to them. Money is in TV and TV rights. That's $1 billion business with all the TV. So that's where the money is, in advertisement and marketing. So ticket sales and skyboxes. So ticket sales doesn't matter as much to them, which isn't right, I don't think. Right. But that's where people out there get it. We pay your salary. No, you don't. You don't pay your salary. You pay to have that game there. I talked to Mark Cuban years ago, and I asked him, why do you want to have a preseason game in this arena, American Airlines? Because when I played, we played at colleges. We went to play Philly when Barkley was in Auburn, right. Where we went there. We played Dr. J in Massachusetts and stuff like. And he goes, well, it cost me about $1 million to put on an NBA game. The arena, all the setup, all the people, all that, and I can make 1.2 or 1. I can make money, so I want to have it there. But other than that, there's no reason to. So.
So they make money to have it there, pretty much.
A little bit, very little bit. But that's just
but
so.
It doesn't pay your salary.
No, so if it costs $1 million to play a game and I make 1.2, I make $200,000. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't even pay. There's nobody on my staff that makes 200. Every assistant coach, every player, So that's just okay. That's even now. Okay, we're even now. How do we make our money? It's in skyboxes. TV money, which is I think it's a $9 billion contract now, and so that's where their money comes from, and I think that gets skewed because people say, well, I pay your salary, and so there's an inherent kind of problem there, and a disconnect actually with the owners and the fans, because if the owners say, hey, you're going to keep these fans happy in these seats, or you're going to keep those people happy up there in skyboxes, they're going to pick the skyboxes.
And Mark Cuban is one of the more honest owners. I remember he would sit up in the nosebleed seats with season ticket holders. It's just a classy thing, and he's not one of those.
You know who those ticket holders were?
How much?
No, you know what? A lot of times what he did was he'd have rallies before the game, and then he'd go out there, and people that were dressed up and being crazy and stuff, he would let 10 of them come in the game and put them in the stand.
I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mark Cuban's a good dude. And by the way, nobody ever gave him anything. Some could say, well, you got up really lucky with, listen, the guy made his own money. Yeah. The guy made his own money. Nobody handed him anything. He did it all himself. That's the guy that I wish would run for office because I would vote for him. Mm-hmm. I believe he is a man of the people. He's one of the few billionaires out there that I think is very relatable. Yeah. And
here's the other way that owners make money, selling their team. Michael Jordan bought the Charlotte
Hornets
for $280 million. Mm-hmm. He's getting ready to sell it for $3 billion.
Oh wow!
So his part is, after all is said and done, everything's paid off, all the other owners, blah 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 blah. He's looking to clear $1 billion.
Wait, when he sells his team, what does he do afterwards? Buy another one, or he just done?
To me, I would be. But he still makes $250 million a year on Nike money. Oh, wow. He makes more on tennis shoe money than any other player in the league, and he hasn't played for years. But I mean, he has his jets, he has his yachts, he loves to play golf. He takes his group of like 5 or 8 guys around. They fly around and play the best golf courses. And at what point? I mean, he's catching a lot of flack because he hadn't done a great job in Charlotte, and it's never turned around. He was part owner when I was there, so I've been in the room with him. I've been in the draft room with him. And if I'm that guy, and I can, first of all, I have billions, right? And then why do I need another headache? Why don't I just go in the sunset?
No, he's not going to. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he's buying another team. He likes his wine. He likes his cigars. He likes playing golf. Likes his women. Likes all that. And
where can you do all that?
Vegas.
Yes. So how about we all know LeBron wants a team here, right?
Yeah.
And we all know the person that just sold the Bucks and made a ton of money is one of LeBron's guys. So we all know he might want to own a team. Mm-hmm. So you got LeBron, you got this guy with billions of dollars, and then MJ wants to come in and be part of Vegas. And, it only costs him to own like 5% of the team. It'll cost you a couple $100 million, big deal, to own 5%.
Jordan,
big deal.
Yeah, but I could see him doing that. Yeah. And live here and do the life he wants.
Jordan, I do have a few Jordan stories. Jordan, of course, used to have his celebrity golf tournament here.
Yep.
And Jordan loves playing at Shadow Creek, but usually privately, him and Tiger Woods will come out here and they'll play Shadow Creek. Mm-hmm. Shadow Creek is like Augusta National. Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievably beautiful. One time, it's incredible golf course. So he's got his own locker, Jordan does out here. He comes out here all the time, but he's very much under the radar. He doesn't want people to know he's here. Same thing with Tiger Woods, especially after the scandal he had with all the cheating and everything going on.
Oh, for sure.
But those guys come out here. They almost always stay at MGM. They stay in the villas out there. They go play Shadow Creek. They smoke their cigars. They gamble. They have a good time. And I can tell you both of those guys aren't tipping more than $5. I can tell you that right now. They'll play $5,000 a hand, and they won't tip more than $5 because they are both scumbags. But anyway,
wait,
Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods. They are both scumbags. Trust me, when they pull up, valet runs away.
How do you think rich people stay rich?
Well, not everybody is like that. I can tell you Mark Cuban's not like that.
Well,
Charles
for
Barkley,
sure, for
who
sure.
Mo's gotten into some fist fights with on the basketball court, but Barkley's a great tipper.
Fist fights. One.
I still watch that
One
video
time.
over
Yeah, I
and
know.
over.
You show it to everybody, me getting punched in the face.
I know,
Come
you
on,
got
man.
your
Wait, you
ass.
got punched in the face?
You got your
come on,
ass
man.
Wait, how do I
kicked.
Google this?
He got his ass
You
kicked.
can't. It's off. I took it off.
You sure? Paul, I can't see.
No, but Mo got into some fights in the NBA, man. This
It's
guy.
true. I got into 2 fights.
Oh no, you
You
didn't.
just said
Yes, I
one.
did.
You just said
There
one.
was
Now
No,
it's
two.
you said
Charles Oakley,
Yeah,
right?
one.
Oh, I found it on YouTube.
Anybody with Charles in it? Charles Oakley,
Yeah,
Charles
Charles
Barkley.
Oakley. I already played that. We played it, yeah.
12 years. Come on, man.
yeah.
12 years.
You
But
really only got into 2 fights.
real fights like that,
Like
yeah.
real fights,
Yeah, I mean,
like
I have
fist fights.
elbows and pushes.
Kurt
and-
Rambis.
Oh, you started it, Paul. You started it.
You never got
You
into.
don't even know when I started. I started way before that video. I
got
started
into anything with
I started with an elbow before all that happened.
Kurt Rambis. You never got into it with him.
No,
Bill Laimbeer.
actually, in the summer league in Los Angeles when we were both young, I think I broke his nose with an
Oh, wow.
No, I didn't. I knocked out a tooth with an
Hey,
inadvertent elbow. It
At
wasn't
least
a
we can say
fight.
You're not softball.
Well, wait, you
It
knocked
wasn't a
out.
fight.
You knocked out Kurt Rambis's tooth.
I think they didn't go out with
Would
two
he
of them.
remember that?
2 of them got pushed in. I would think so.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah, but it was
That's something to brag
I tell
about.
you, it was at Loyola
That's even-
Marymount. And
Let me ask you a
that's where I
question. Of
played.
all the players you played against, what is the player you say to yourself, "Gosh, I wish I did that to that player"?
Well, who do you think? You know.
Bill Laimbeer.
Yeah.
He was the worst, right? Like he intentionally tried to hurt people.
I don't know if that's in his mind.
That's
You
what
can't
Larry
tell.
Bird thinks.
Yeah, I mean, but that's not what And at some point, like people, I would say you could pull people that played against me and thought that the same as me, and that was the farthest from my intention. But I would say you could get people to say that. But Bill Laimbeer was known to cross the line sometimes.
Well, Larry
and-
Bird said that he would put his feet. Laimbeer would put his feet underneath Bird when Bird would shoot a jump shot, so that Bird would land and twist an ankle.
Well, that's a rule. That's a foul now not because of him, but because of Bruce Bowen in San Antonio. He used to do that.
Yeah,
so you can't do that
that's
anymore.
really bad.
Yeah, so I mean,
Bill's just not a very personable guy.
So the unwritten rule when I played was I'm going to be physical, and if you come in the lane, you're going to feel it, but I'm not going to jeopardize your career, your family's money by doing something to put you in harm's way.
Right. There were a few players that did cross the line and do that.
Oh, sure.
And there are still
Probably.
some players. Now, some people would say Dennis Rodman did that. I don't know if that's true. But there were some. Who do you think is the dirtiest basketball player of all time?
It's hard to say, but I mean, if you look at Draymond Green in Golden State, I'm not calling him dirty, but he has that reputation, and he plays that way, just like Dennis Rodman, just like that, and that's how he stayed in the league a lot of time. I mean, the guy can play, but it's his persona, and quite frankly, watching the game that they were down 15 points in the fourth quarter, and he got into it with a couple of players, and the Warriors end up winning that game.
Yeah.
So maybe he's doing his job.
Well, Draymond is a huge part of the Golden State Warriors. I mean, I do believe he's a dirty player. I mean, with some of the below the belt shots and other things that he's done. But I will say this about Draymond: he's a guy. I mean, he's gotten into fist fights with players in practice, but he's a guy that hates to lose.
He cheap shot at one guy. It was not a fist fight, but
Poole.
Yeah. But like even after the game, after they won, Steph Curry said, "Draymond's back. He's giving us that mental grit and stuff that's going to help us get in the playoffs." So
He's a sandwich short of a picnic, though. Draymond's a little crazy.
or is he playing crazy?
Well, when he played for Michigan State, I don't think many people said to themselves, "Wow, this guy's going to be a starter in the NBA." I don't think a lot of people were saying that, and he didn't even have a great NBA summer league his rookie year. But when he got on this Golden State roster, he just fit in perfectly.
Yeah, because he plays defense, and he passes the ball. He's got a high basketball IQ. So what he did is he found his niche, and he played his role. Except, like I say all the time, well, losing teams, nobody knows their role. Yes, they do. They know their role. They just don't accept it.
Right.
So he accepted his role, much like I did back in the day, this is how I'm going to make it in 12 years in the NBA.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to set picks, dive on the floor, sometimes be physical, and that's how I'm going to stay in this thing. And that's how they accept their role.
Sure.
There's a famous story when I was in Cleveland and we brought World Be Free in, right, as a free agent. And the coach was up on the board talking about our roles and everything. And he raised his hand. He said, Coach, I only know a couple roles. I know a dinner roll, I know cinnamon roll, and I know payroll. So those are the only roles I know.
Cinnamon roll. I kind of like that. That's pretty funny, actually. All right, Mo, let's talk a little NBA playoffs. I watched a little NBA yesterday, and I watched a Phoenix Suns team win pretty handily on the. I think they were at home yesterday.
With KD's back.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. I actually believe that Phoenix is going to win it all this year. I think they're better than Boston. There are some good teams in the West as well, the Lakers not being one of them. But I'm going out and I'm saying that I think Chris Paul finally wins an NBA championship if they are healthy. I like the way Ayton is playing. The addition of KD, we all know how huge that is. Just gives them, one of the best offensive players, if not the best offensive player in the league. What do you make of this Phoenix Suns team?
Well, I thought when they picked up KD for pretty much nothing,
Right.
They didn't give up Ayton, they didn't give up Chris Paul, they didn't give up Booker, right? So adding one of the best players in the league to your
They lost Bridges, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
who's a good player, but
Yeah.
they didn't give up any of their core three,
Right.
which, by the way, play different positions,
right?
Point guard, score, big, and that's why like you look at Luka and Kyrie and Dallas, it doesn't work because they're both point guards. So, but they had that mix. I like their roster, and now KD's back, so they are a threat. But they have to stay healthy, like you said. And the problem is here, right now, the first round, they're going to play the Clippers. No easy out. So
Especially if Kawhi's playing 30 minutes.
So that's a 7-game series, right?
Yeah.
It's 2 weeks.
That's tough.
Somebody can
Paul
get,
George, when is he coming back?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, he got hurt.
But that's in the
Yeah.
playoffs, 7-game series lasts 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks of battling. Then they're going to play either the winner of Sac and Golden State. That's another 7-game series. Now you got a month,
You
right?
think 7 with Sacramento? I'm
Yeah,
not
the way
sold
they're
on them.
playing.
I know they've been
Absolutely,
playing
yeah.
really well, but I just I
okay,
don't,
6. Say 6.
I don't like their coach, and I think it could go 6,
Say
but
6.
I don't like I don't like their coach, and in the playoffs I'm not sold on them.
And here, it's not about winning. It's about how long that series goes.
Right.
Every time you play, there's a chance to lose and there's a chance to get hurt. So now every extended series, you can get more beat up and more chances to, and then you're going to end up playing probably Denver, right? So now you got another 7-game series before you meet Boston or Milwaukee. I have Milwaukee coming out of the East, by the way, and or Philly. So now you're going to have another 7-game series. So staying healthy for that. I think the West, I called it a long time ago, the Wild Wild West. There's only 2 games from 5th spot to 8th, 10th spot. The Lakers are moving up. They're becoming a team to deal with. They're in the 8th spot now, trying to get out of the play-in tournament thing. Golden State is coming on strong. So, anybody out there, Denver's not the team. If you said a month ago who's going to win the West, everyone said Denver. That's not true anymore. It could be the Suns. It's not Memphis, not Sac. It could be the Suns, be the Clippers. It could be Golden State. So, and now they're going to have to go against Bucks, Boston, outside chance.
So
maybe
to me, the top 2 teams in the East, definitely Boston and Milwaukee. You had some really good years in Milwaukee yourself, Paul. Again, it's about being healthy, and with the Bucks, it seems always to be that way. I just feel like Boston has their number, and I think that'll be a long, drawn-out series. But I'm going to assume that the Boston Celtics are going to be playing the Milwaukee Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. I could see Philadelphia as an outside shot, but I like the Boston Celtics to get it done, and I'm sticking with my guns. I hear what you're saying about Phoenix. It's not going to be easy. Yeah, and listen, Denver with Jokic and the guys they have out there, I hear you. I think that would be a great series. I still believe in the end it's going to be the Boston Celtics versus the Phoenix Suns, and I could be wrong. Maybe Boston gets them, but I think Phoenix gets over the hump, and I think that Kevin Durant is a matchup issue for everybody. Not that Tatum isn't, but
Not that Giannis isn't.
no, Giannis is an unbelievable talent, but he struggles shooting free throws, and he's a physical specimen. He's an unbelievable player. Anyway, I think that'd be a great series. Boston, Milwaukee, great series.
Holiday, I think, had 51 points the other night too.
Holiday's a weird player in this aspect, in that sometimes he'll go 1 for 15 from the field, and then in another game he'll go 8 for 11 from 3.
It's very rare to go 1 for. He's a solid player.
He's a really good player, but I think at times he takes bad shots.
Yeah, but
And
so do a lot of people in the
Yes,
NBA, but-
true. Sometimes he's a little out of control, but then other games he looks like the best player in the league.
Well, here's I'll show you this picture. I don't know if we can get on here, but this is what I saw the other day of the Milwaukee Bucks, right? They're on the bench. Every player is doing the same kind of silly thing. And, it's kind of funny, and they're all smiling. But you can tell in that
They're
picture
having fun.
that they get along.
Yeah.
And they respect each other.
Yeah.
And I have a picture of this, of me, Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond, and Chris Mullins. The same kind of thing on the bench right before we beat the
I
San
think I
Antonio
saw that
Spurs.
picture. Wasn't that?
Yeah, it was on the wall.
That's in your office.
Yeah.
That was. I was looking at that and admiring
so that.
Yeah.
To me, really, it's just a picture. That means they're on the same page. And when you go in a 7-game series, if you go to the finals like I did in Dallas as a coach, that's 2 months of basketball. 2 months. So you're going to have ups and downs and troubles. And if you have a relationship like that with the best players on the team, you can get over some of those humps.
Did you feel like in your playing career, Mo, that you had players that just disrespected you, that your teammates that just had no respect? Like, did you feel that?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No.
You no?
No.
That's I thought you were gonna say yes.
No,
Oh, wow.
no.
Never?
I mean, I played in Milwaukee for 8 years, and I don't think there's one. I could go through all the rosters. I've had Sidney Moncrief, Jack Sikma, Bob Lanier, rest his soul, Junior Bridgman, who's one of the richest former Wendy's owners. He's a billionaire. Marcus Johnson. I can go through all our rosters, even training camp rosters, and not think of one.
Nobody's ever disrespected you ever.
Marcus Johnson, by the way,
not my teammate.
Is
wow,
it that
that's
Marcus
good.
Johnson
That's
that,
great.
in my opinion, deserved an Oscar and White Men Can't Jump? Am I thinking of the right guy?
Marcus Johnson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
White Man
That's a
Can't
true
Jump.
story, by the way.
I'm going to go get my gun.
But in good teams, players don't disrespect people.
Right.
Because if you do, you either back then you got in a fight and you fixed it, or the other guys on the team fixed it and we need this guy off the team.
Right.
Now
Jordan got into it with people. I've heard a couple different stories. He got into it with Bill Cartwright.
He got into
Steve
it.
Hey,
Kerr.
you were lucky.
But you know why he got into it with them? Not because of disrespect, because of competition. Right. He was not happy that Steve Kerr was lighting him up in a scrimmage. So it's about competition, not disrespect.
I love that. And by the way, Steve had said in regards to that fight where I guess Jordan like sucker punched him, and Steve Kerr actually said Jordan apologized to him and it made their relationship stronger. The story that I heard that Bill Cartwright has told over and over again is that Jordan and him got into it at a practice, and Bill Cartwright took his hand, grabbed Jordan by his throat, raised him up, and said, "You ever talk to me like that again, I'm going to kill you."
Well, that might be disrespect then.
That's assault.
But that's the story that I heard. But
And I would guarantee that happened before they were good. I bet that happened when I was in Milwaukee and we're kicking their ass every year. Mm-hmm. And then when they got Pippen and those guys, it flip-flopped over. I bet that's when it was.
Very possible. All right, Mo, so who do you see? We only got a minute here. Who do you see winning this whole thing in the NBA championship? Who's your team?
Well,
don't be biased with your Milwaukee Bucks. I know you played for them.
I'm not biased. I mean, but I see. I'm along the lines of the Suns. If they stay healthy, have a shot.
So you agree with me?
Yeah. Except you could pick the Clippers. You could pick Golden State. You could pick the Lakers. You could pick Denver. So
I can't pick the Clippers because Kawhi is such a weird dude and he's not playing minutes. And the Lakers, you really think they have a chance?
The way they've made those trades, the way they are top 5 in defense now, absolutely.
Hachimura, I like him. Yes. Yeah. I do think that they've done a really good job with the moves that they have made, and getting rid of Westbrook was a big part of that.
And then part of the other guys that
Davis
were younger.
gets hurt all the time.
Hey, you called him Westbrook and not Westbrick, so hey.
There you go. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't see anybody coming out of the West and beating the Bucks or Celtics.
Yeah,
I just don't.
That's interesting.
Not a 7-game series.
Again, it comes down to being healthy. I do love the fact that the Celtics have NBA Finals experience.
Yeah,
I think that is huge.
So is Phoenix, right?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
And Tatum.
And now KD has championship rings.
Yeah,
so,
listen, a lot of experience.
It could be less winning for Chris Paul.
That's true, but I think it's going to be a very fun NBA playoff
than
year.
usual,
A lot of parity and a lot of interesting storylines. Mr. Paul Mokeski, it's always a pleasure having you in studio.
Yeah, thanks for
Yes.
dialed in, man.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah,
Yes.
you listen. You don't just teach me things; you learn me things.
I love that about Mo. We're gonna go play some video poker now, so we're gonna grab some.
We got to
lunch.
eat lunch first.
Yes,
Yeah.
we got to grab some
Listen,
food first.
I've
But
been eating all day today.
always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to have Mo
Great
in
coming in
studio.
with you guys, man.
Appreciate that.
We need to push this show, man.
Yes.
An hour of fun with us, man.
Yes,
Let's do it.
And then we need to do a show from the Mokeski Beach Club. That's also
Yeah, we can do a location.
We got it.
Absolutely.
I'm with it.
When
I'm
it gets
location
when it gets a
remote.
little warmer, absolutely.
We got
This
to
is
do
my
it
end.
on location from the Mokeski Beach Club. By the way, he's got a very nice home and a very nice pool. I will
Wait,
say
do they have the service as well, like the other place?
like bottle service?
We
Yeah.
could bring someone.
I don't know if I can say it on air, but you know though.
I'll tell you what.
We could bring somebody. It ain't gonna be my wife, Linda.
I'll tell you what. We'll have Chris Wynn doing bottle service.
Oh no, I don't want Chris Wynn topless. I was talking about the other people.
Good to see you, my friend. We're gonna go. We're gonna go grab some lunch. We'll play some video poker. It's always a fun time.
Yes, Mo.
Jamie, we'll
Oh.
see you. Jamie is forced to see me tomorrow, but
Yep.
thanks to Mark and everybody at KSHP. We'll see you tomorrow.
Everybody
same
have
place.
fun Final Four.
Yes,
Have a
Yeah,
party,
that's right.
man.
See you
Yes,
tomorrow,
for
everybody.
sure.
Have a great
Peace
one.
out, and don't forget, follow us on PCL Radio Show. We out.
That was fun.